I'm back after 12 days in Canada, Montreal. I went to visit my brothers-in-law along with my wife and kids, and we had a blast. Canada is an awesome country, very nice people. Actually, one of the friendliest people I've seen ever. From the time I boarded the plane until I came back, nothing but friendliness. You hear a lot that people in Canada are friendly. People in Canada are friendly. People in Canada are friendly. But you do not know until you visit there. I was at the park and my son's shoelace was untied. A lady came all the way from across the park just to tie his shoes. You do not see this in California. I'm sure there are a lot of good people here, but you do not see it. Very, very rare. A lot of you who live in Canada will probably write in the comments, you've only been there for 2 weeks, you do not know what's going on. A lot of bad areas, a lot of good areas. I don't know. I'm just talking based on what I saw. So anytime you are in a different country, you tend to compare where you live to where you are right now. So I was comparing California with Canada. Pros and cons. I think the biggest pro in California is the weather. In Canada, humidity was about 91%, 33 degrees Celsius, but feels like 39 degrees Celsius. You cannot walk outside more than 10 minutes because you're going to feel like you need the AC. You're going to sweat and feel like you just came out of the spa or jacuzzi or whatever the case may be. The weather is really bad. Whereas in California here, even if temperatures reach 40 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees Celsius, you do not feel the sweat because the weather is dry. We do not have humidity here. We don't have to worry about humidity. And at night, we have a cool breeze. In Canada, you sit outside on the balcony at night and you feel like you're going to suffocate. You have to go back inside and have the AC on. I asked my brother-in-law about the electricity bill because the AC is always on. In California, if the AC is always on, you can expect to pay $700-800 a month for electricity. So I asked him over there, how is your bill like? And he said, he pulled out his phone and $2.50 per day for electricity. And the AC is running 24 hours a day. Wow. Wow. That's like $60-70 a month for electricity. Canada is very rich with water. Everywhere you go, you find a lake, waterfalls, and a lot of resources. Water generates power, and that's how it goes. So electricity and water bills in Canada are cheap. In California, water and electricity very expensive. Actually, in California, everything is expensive. My brother just went halfway across the US to a lot of states, and he said, I do not know why we live in California. California is so expensive. Homes in California right now, the minimum price of a house in California right now is about $1 million. And you are not buying a good house. You're buying a house from the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s for 1.2 million, 1.5 million, 1.4 million. Why? Why is California so expensive? I do not know why we are still living in California. I love California. I love the weather in California. I love everything in California, but it has gotten to a point where it's very expensive. We pay for fuel, gas, about $5.50 per gallon. Other states in the US, they are paying $3.50, $3.60. So we are paying almost twice for gas in California. It used to be in California, when you say, I want to buy a house for $1 million, you think about Beverly Hills, Hollywood. Right now, $1 million gets you nothing. It gets you an average house that needs work. You want a nice piece of land, it's going to cost you more. Go outside of California, you have acres of land, you have big homes for a much cheaper price. Same thing goes with other countries. So the same amount of money that you spend in California, you can get a much better life if you go outside of California, whether it's another state or another country. But talk is easy. When you come to do it, it's hard. That's the way I see it. So between Canada and California, what do I think? If I want to compare Canada to California, like I said, pros and cons. The biggest con in Canada is the weather. The weather in the summer, very humid, very hot. And in the winter, you have to shovel the snow. You have to remove the snow off your car. If you have kids, you want to take them to school, you have to dress them up. Few layers of clothes. the hat, the ear pads, goggles maybe, I do not know what, because the weather is so cold. We do not have this problem in California. Canada, cost of living is cheaper than California. Prices of homes are cheaper than California, at least in Montreal, where I went. I also went to Quebec, the old city. We rented a cabin or a house in the mountains where we had access to a very nice lake with boats, kayaks, and all that stuff. I mean, if you think in your head, I want to have a nice vacation, I want something that looks good, it would be that place that I went to in Canada. I do not know the name of the area or the place that we went to, but I'll try to look it up and maybe I can include it in the video. We rented a house, and a few minutes down, we went to the lake. We had access to a very nice lake with kayaks, boats. You see all the mountains, the clear water, friendly people. What more can you ask? And that's one pro for Canada. Very nice sceneries. We do have nice sceneries in California, but I think Canada beats California with beauty. A lot of resources in Canada, a lot of water, friendly people, nice sceneries, lower cost of living. So all those are pros for Canada, and I think one of the major pro for California is the weather. Everything about Canada I loved, but the weather was the biggest con. It was raining heavily when we went up to the house that we rented in the mountains. I looked at my brother-in-law. I told him, I do not think that we can swim in this weather. It's raining. And he said, don't worry about it. In 5 minutes, it's going to clear up. That's Canada. It rains, it stops. You look at the weather forecast and they tell you 70% chance of rain. And you think, oh, it's going to rain all day. It rains for 5 minutes and then everything goes back to normal. I felt like the weather forecast in Canada is very inaccurate because you look at your phone, today there's an 80% chance of rain. It rains for 5 minutes and it clears up. No more rain. If you are a person who visited California and Canada, let me know what you think. Do you feel like Canada is better, California is better, pros and cons? And share it down in the comments. Now, I have a video that I took with me to Canada. I wanted to edit that video and post it there, but I do not have time. So I think I'm going to post it today, or maybe I'll record another video. We'll see. Here we have an Asus laptop that came in for repair. We already disassembled the board, and I have the board right over here. And this one is the G14 model. Let's read what the customer wrote. My Asus laptop was left open, propped on its side and screen overnight while installing a large game. My wife said the fan was really loud, and I'm guessing it must have overheated with one side vent port being blocked. It has 4 vents, 2 in the back and 1 on each side. Now it does not show any indication of charging and won't power on. Tried 60 seconds power button reset with no success. The power supply has the appropriate 20 volts, 3 amps output. So we're going to have to do some measurements on the board and try to figure it out. We have the DC power supply right here. Not the power supply, the power connector. And we have 2 MOSFETs. I always start by checking the drain of the second MOSFET and see if we have a short circuit. And 0.2 voltage drop. And it's going down to 0.1. That's weird. We do not have an immediate short. I'm in diode mode right now. 0.2, 0.10. 0.2 voltage drop, 0.1, 0. And if we measure in resistance mode, resistance mode is fluctuating also. 2 ohms, 40 ohms, 39 ohms, 1 ohm, 120 ohms, 6 ohms. We have a problem. So right now, the first thing we're going to do is inject voltage at the short, and we're going to monitor the board under a thermal camera and see if anything on the board is getting hot. That's step number 1. We do not want to waste a lot of time, and we want to work smart and not hard. So let's go ahead and power up our NF.short voltage injection tool. We're going to connect the ground probe to the screw hole, and I have an alligator clip cable connected as an extension cable to the ground probe, and we're going to inject. I have it set at 1.4 volts. Let's keep it that way. Right now, we do not have it that short. We have a fluctuating number, so the thermal camera may or may not show us any heat on the board. We'll see. Let's inject voltage at the short. and monitor. Anything getting hot on the board? Right here. Right here. I do see something hot on the board. Right here. Just look at this area. I'm going to inject voltage and look at this area. You see? So what do we have here? Let me quickly remove the probe and put my finger on this component. And this one looks like it's a MOSFET. Probably a dual channel MOSFET. This one looks like a dual N-channel MOSFET. Is it the 5018? 5018, yes. So we injected voltage at the short, and this component went hot. We're going to start by removing the component and see if that fixes the short problem. If yes, then we're going to replace it. And hopefully we have a working laptop. Right now, we do not know if the MOSFET is 100% the culprit, but that's what got hot on the board. It could be that we may have a faulty capacitor nearby, or whatever the case may be, but this component is the one that got hot under the thermal camera when we injected voltage at the short or at the semi-short. So let's start by desoldering the MOSFET. I honestly did not expect to see heat anywhere on the board because we do not have it that short. We have a fluctuating short. Numbers are changing up and down, up and down. First time I see something like this on an Asus laptop, and look at this, I smell burn. I'm applying heat to that component and I smell burn. So maybe that component is internally burned or something is going on in this area. We desoldered the component. And now we can measure for a short again and see if we still have a short. Meter in diode mode. And do we still have a short? The short is gone. We have a steady 0.32 voltage drop. Wow. 0.34 voltage drop. Amazing. We do not have fluctuating numbers anymore. I do not know if you can see the meter, but here. We're gonna measure the MOSFET. Look at this, 0.37, 0.38, and that's because the board is still hot. The number will go up to about 0.45, but right now we have a steady 0.37. The number is not going up or down. Amazing, amazing. We found the problem. And where are we going to get that component from? Good question. I have a lot of Asus donor boards here because we fix Asus laptops on daily basis. If we look at this board here, we have like a U shape. A notch here, straight, and a notch here. So I'm going to look for a similar board. I have almost every type of Asus board right next to me. You see how this one has a notch on the left, but not on the right. So that's a different board. We may still be able to find the same component on that different board, but if I have the same board, then why look at another model board? This one is not the same, different. And this one is the same. You see how we have the notches on the left and right? This one, we do have a notch on the left and right, but the notch on the right or on the left is very long. So it's a different model board. Let's take a look at this one. So if we go here, where is that component? Right there, right there. The same component, right here. Let's remove it from this donor board. And we should have a similar one right next to it, I believe, right here. Let me just double check, is that the same component? (5018), same one. Let's remove it. fume extractor on, and let's apply some leaded solder. Perfect. Now we gotta measure again to make sure that we do not have a short circuit after replacing that component. Let's go back here and measure again. Now the board that we took the component from does not have a short circuit at the MOSFET. And that's why we assumed the component is good. You see, we have 0.38 voltage drop. One more time. 0.38 voltage drop. Awesome. So we are done. I'm gonna hand over the board to Big Boss to reassemble and test, and I'll be back to finish the video. Yeah, the fans are spinning. The fans are spinning. Look at this. Fans are spinning and the laptop is on. What about the RAM? Oh, right there. Laptop is fixed. So it looks like the motherboard has embedded RAM and also extra stick of RAM. Laptop is working. Awesome. And we are done. Wow, we did it. Thank you, Big Boss. And we also have another one to work on right here. And Big Boss just removed the cover of this one so I can quickly take a look at it before he disassembles the board. We have a phone that we need to work on today as well. We have somebody mailed in a Samsung Tab 3 for repair. How much is this tablet? $30. They said that this tablet has sentimental value and they want it fixed, so we did fix it. Tablet is charging and everything is good. So all this stuff must be done today. Big Boss already took care of this one, and I must have worked on 7-8 devices today. So that's it. We're gonna end the video right here. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll do something else in the next video. Let me check on my dad quick. Make sure he's done his job. And right here, he's packaging your orders. I do not want to disturb the package. I do not know what he has inside, but it's okay. It's all right. Oh, Aten hot air station. We have the T3B soldering station. And then, oh, he has the NF.mini. Okay.